Hi, everybody. I'm going to test this out and get things set up to talk about groundbreaking immigration updates, the new future with the Modernizing H-1B Requirements Rule. Hi, everybody. I'm going to test this out. Great. I think we're live. So let's begin. Okay. Good morning and hello. I am Sophie Alcorn, the best-selling author of Ask Sophie, the Founder's Guide to Visas and Green Cards. And today I am bringing you pivotal updates about recent and proposed changes coming to the business immigration landscape with H-1Bs that could greatly affect startups, established technology companies, nonprofits, government research institutions, international students in the US on F1, and many more. And I'm proud to be the founder of Alcorn Immigration Law, where we specialize in guiding startups, founders, and technology businesses through the intricacies of getting US visas and green cards. I am a law nerd, so the fact that this 227-page rule, I think, dropped yesterday, I read the whole thing, and I'm really excited to share a lot of the details with you today that I think are going to be the most exciting for startup founders, companies, and students. And this is really important for the United States as a nation, because we need to attract and retain top global talent so the world's best and brightest individuals can come to our shores and innovate on our soil. Remember, Google, Tesla, SpaceX, so many more, all founded by immigrants. And it's crucial that the next companies that are going to emerge in this century that are like that are built on American soil as well, where we have freedom and rules, rule of law, privacy, governance. So really critical that the world's top talent come here. And this is an amazing move that the US is making, which actually signifies with the CHIPS and Science Act and many other movements that we're now ready to actively recruit the world's best and brightest, because now we're doing things to retain them, to retain you. So super excited about this. A few disclaimers before we get into the meat of this content. The official rule is not actually published yet. It's going to be published on Monday, October 23rd, but I wanted to get out this content as quickly as possible to help you, because I know there's going to be a lot of coverage of this over the weekend and coming weeks. So this is the version, the preview version, released Friday, October 20th. So maybe there's going to be slight changes. I doubt it. But another thing is there's a lot in the rule, and there's a lot that the government is doing to combat fraud and abuse in the H-1B system, which is important. But my goal for this audience is to share the additional exciting changes that are actually going to help unlock more innovation and potential. So that's going to be my focus today. I'm not going to cover everything in the 200 plus pages, so keep that in mind. And another thing to also keep in mind is this is a proposed rule, so it's not effective yet. There will be a 60-day notice and comment period, which will kick off after the official publication planned for this Monday. And at that point, it is so important that you, as business owners, HR individuals, aspiring startup founders, existing startup founders, international students, lend your voice to the conversation. So you can actually submit comments for the news, for the regulatory creation process. You do not have to be I think you don't have to be a US citizen to do it. So it's really important that your voice is heard to let the government know why these changes are important and valuable, because they don't actually have to introduce everything all at once. They can cut this up, they can split it up into different pieces, they can decide to release some things and not others. So if you hear something you like, please write a comment and tell USCIS that you're a fan. Smash that like button for USCIS through making a regulatory comment. That's basically how it works. So I'll put those links below for you as well. All righty. So, just as I was pouring through this PDF, one of the things that really stood out to me was the strong national security language in here. And I think it's so critical to set the stage. So I wanted to share some of my notes of what I think is most important. So look at this. The government is clearly recognizing that the U.S. has long been a destination for top talent from all over the world, including for entrepreneurs and innovators. And we continue to expand these initiatives to support our ever-evolving workforce. So we had CHIPS and Science Act last year to foster innovation. We want to reduce the barriers to entry for startups. And we really pride ourselves as a nation on our ability to attract global talent. However, there are limited pathways for entrepreneurs, and that's what I've written about in TechCrunch, how to maximize opportunities in a playing field where otherwise you might not know that they exist. And so it's really, really critical that we need to promote access. So I loved reading that. I also loved all of the footnotes. I read them all. It reminded me of law school. So I loved this nugget of insight that I found from the National Bureau of Economic Research about how winning the H-1B visa lottery boosts the fortunes of startups. Literally, the opportunity to hire specialized foreign workers gives startups a leg up over their competitors who do not obtain visas for desired employees. High-skilled foreign labor boosts a firm's chance of obtaining venture capital funding, of successfully going public or being acquired, and of making innovative breakthroughs. So clearly critical. This is designed not for job takers, but for job creators. Non-US born founders, they play outsized roles in US high growth entrepreneurship. And that's what we're all about at my law firm, Alcorn Immigration Law. Look, the US could benefit from the creation of jobs, new industries, and new opportunities. Okay, so with that, I want to start going into what these changes are. So first up, let's talk about changes for H-1Bs through the lottery. And now this is something that they're targeting to release by the next virtual digital online lottery, which is normally scheduled for March, so that everybody who is selected knows if they were selected by April 1st. So that's coming up in about 6 months. So if they can pull off these changes on time, we might actually see these changes go live only 6 months from now in the upcoming H-1B visa lottery. So the first super critical point is that they're aiming to help international students with Cap-exempt. So if you're trying to hire students that are on their very end of their OPT, and if their H-1B is pending beyond October 1st, there's been this really bad situation over the last few years where students basically have to stay in the US, but have to stop working on October 1st and can't leave and can't start working until the H-1B is approved, which is a nightmare for companies and students. So they're trying to fix that by making the Cap-exempt end date, instead of October 1st, boosting it another 6 months to April 1st. So that's really going to help companies that are hiring. Another change enmeshed in the overall H-1B concept is about embracing the skills-based hiring approach that employers use. Employers don't really care what degree you have. They want to know if you can do the job, and to know if you can do the job, they want to know what skills you have. So this is going to help students from diverse educational backgrounds. It's going to help companies with hiring. And it's just going to make it a lot easier for companies. For example, if you have a quantitative role, there might be a variety of majors that can qualify. So it's going to make it easier for you to get those approvals. Additionally, a major process is coming for the H-1B lottery. They're going to make it fair by giving each potential worker one chance at being selected. So multiple companies will still be able to do multiple job sponsorships for the same candidate, but if they need to do a lottery, they're just going to give everybody their unique identifier of their passport number, and each passport number gets one chance at being selected. So that's a major improvement, because Because as I was reading this, like multiple people had more than 15 H-1B registrations. I think somebody had like over 50 this year. And there's also, this goes into the fraud and abuse. There's also many companies that had the exact same candidates, like hundreds of similar candidates, and they only ended up doing a few H-1Bs for a few of the people that were selected. So there was a lot of gaming of the system, which we heard about in the news, and this should make it a lot better. Now, each basically, like if you're an international student, now you're going to have the same chance as any other international student, either if you're in the master's cap or the regular cap, but same chance. So there's less incentive to try to game the system with multiple offers. So that's going to be really great for companies too, because it means that every company has the same chance of getting that one candidate essentially. So this is all going to be really great. A few more changes and notes. Oh yeah, here we go. So each unique beneficiary will only be counted once toward the random selection of registrations, regardless of how many registrations were submitted for that beneficiary. There we go. Okay. And now let's also talk about H-1Bs without the lottery, because this is the really exciting thing to allow more international students to consider pathways of public service in the United States after they graduate. And nonprofits are actually going to have an easier job. The path to hiring immigrants is going to become smoother as more nonprofits can now qualify their recruits without the lottery. So they're expanding the definition of Cap-exempt employers, specifically for nonprofits and research institutions. And so they're lightening the burden of what you need to prove as the basis of your nonprofit to get out of the lottery. And so one example of that here, now some types of organizations that might be able to get H-1Bs without the lottery for their future employees. So that's any time of year, no random selection, candidate can be inside or outside the United States. So for example, a nonprofit with a mission to eradicate malaria that engages in lobbying, public awareness, funding medical research, and performing its own research may qualify for cap exemption, even if it was not primarily engaged in research, because research is one of several fundamental activities of the organization, as opposed to its primary mission. And also a government research organization that engages in semiconductor manufacturing research and development could qualify for H-1B cap exemption if research is a fundamental activity of the organization. So this is going to be really important for that CHIPS and science funding, and like the TSMC has a big shortage of getting workers. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about founders. And the thing that I just completely went nuts about when I read this last night is that the rule formally acknowledges that actually existing law helps immigrant founders on H-1Bs work at their startups, even if they have the majority ownership and they don't have a board that can hire and fire them. And so we've been very reluctant to push these cases in the past. There was even new USCIS website guidance this year on that topic, but this regulation goes into that legal analysis about common law principles and the employer-employee relationship and case law changes. And then it takes it even a step further so that it will get even better for entrepreneurs if the rule is passed. But the really cool thing is this is a formal acknowledgement that we can literally start doing these H-1Bs for majority owner startup founders literally now today. So that's something we're already doing for people. So please, contact us if you want to get in touch. And so some of the notes there, the why. High-skilled foreign labor boosts a firm chance of obtaining venture capital funding and of successfully going public or being acquired and of making innovative breakthroughs. And in this funding market, one of the things that I'm seeing is founders don't want to raise money until they have traction. So they want to create their company, they want to launch their product, they want to play around with pricing tiers and see which power users are going to sign up. And they can't do that without running afoul of the H-1B prohibition on only being able to work for the petitioner that petitioned for you. So there's this huge chicken and egg because people don't want to be in a bad negotiating position to raise money right now, and they need traction first. So how do they get traction without working? Well, they need to bootstrap, but then they need to work at the company before they have the VC funding, and they probably have majority ownership, and they don't want to dilute it at that point. So the amazing thing is now, if you're like, oh my God, I need to work at my startup now because we have users on our platform and we need to formally create a company, protect our intellectual property, and we need to set up Stripe and get money into a bank account. Well, the really cool thing is you can do this now today as the CEO and the majority owner of your company, and it's officially blessed here. If this rule goes through, there will be additional improvements so that you will be formally able to engage in parallel activities for a minority portion of your time that are not directly the specialty occupation, because they're acknowledging that you might have to negotiate contracts, you might have to talk to VCs, and they really want to help founders develop their business enterprises so that the country can benefit from the creation of jobs, new industries, and new opportunities. So this is going to be, super clear, super clear now. Even if you own more than 50% of your company, even if you have majority voting rights, you can still get an H-1B to work at your startup. So it's thrilling. Look, more details, super nerd moment. I was so excited to highlight this. H-1B petitioners generally will meet the employer-employee relationship under the current rules simply by submitting the required LCA and employment agreement as part of the initial evidence to the Form I-29. So easy, boom, get an offer letter and get an LCA, and we can do an H-1B for you at a company. And then here's this improvement that they might make in the future. They're going to overly clarify with this rule that you can also sign leases, find investors, negotiate contracts. So that's going to be pitching your startup, raising funding, all of that. And the most important thing is this majority ownership thing is available now. And look, here we go. DHS believes that prospective beneficiary-owned businesses may still be reluctant to participate in the H-1B program due to the legacy of its now rescinded memorandum. So yes, they've been listening. Thank you, USCIS. We really appreciate you. We want to get more international entrepreneurs in the United States to innovate and build. And look, here, they heard our call. Thank you. Here we are. So it's super, super exciting. And I'm just thrilled about this. Okay, so what's next? The new provisions will be published Monday, October 23rd. It initiates a 60-day public comment period. We anticipate these changes might come into effect in time for the fiscal year 2025 cap season, this, February, March, April. And your feedback is crucial. So if you want to smash that like button in the old school legal way, do submit your comment after the comment period opens. And, I'm so thrilled about this. I've been working on this for my whole life, and I'm so excited to see some of these amazing changes coming through. And there's so much potential here, but the real impact boils down to how you navigate the system and how you navigate the changes and how you stay, abreast of the updates and how you maximize your opportunities. And so that's where we at Alcorn Immigration Law come into play. Our expertise spans across key areas: H-1Bs for startups, green cards for founders, helping students get employed at companies, how to structure the I-129, the H-1B, the PERM, the green card, the self-petition green card, all of that and more. And our aim at my firm is to ensure that you don't just adapt, but thrive in this evolving environment, because opportunities abound, and it's simply how you choose to take advantage of them and utilize them and chart your own future destiny, because the power is in your hands. So please do reach out, and thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, happy to answer them. You can always contact Alcorn for a consultation. Reporters, I'm always happy to chat with you as well. So please keep in touch. Let me know your questions, and we'll be providing lots of content and update on these topics along the way.